Innocent man was incarcerated 24 years, did not do the crime. He has now been paid $17.5 million, put it up for a mass. Another miscarriage of justice. George Bale, a black man who was wrongfully convicted of murder in 1999, he was sentenced to life in prison for something he never did. Life in prison without the possibility of parole. He'd spent 24 years of his life in prison before he was exonerated. He has now been awarded $17.5 million in a settlement from the city of New York. Bale, on the left of this picture, was wrongly convicted along with two other black men, Gary Johnson on the right and Rohan Bolt in the center, for the 1996 murder of Ira Epstein, the owner of a check cashing establishment. This was in East Elmhurst, New York. They were all convicted of killing Charles Davis, an off-duty cop who provided security for the establishment. However, their convictions were overturned just a few years ago in 2021. So lawsuits for Bolts and Johnson cases are still pending. New York Supreme Court Appellate Division Judge Joseph A. Zayas threw out the three men's convictions, condemned the prosecutors on the case for withholding evidence that cast doubt on their guilt and pointed to other suspects. The judge also noted the prosecutors made false statements during the trial. These three defendants were undoubtedly wronged by the DA's office misconduct, wrote the judge, adding that the prosecutors completely abdicated its truth-seeking role in these cases. You're supposed to be disbarred and possibly charged with a crime for that, according to the New York Times. Bale's attorney, Richard Emery, says the settlement is the highest sum New York City has ever paid for a wrongful conviction. The attorney also noted that his client had been facing the death penalty for the capital case. Quote, it recognizes the horrible suffering that a young, innocent man went through facing the death penalty for 3 years and a life without parole for 21 more, said Emery. Emery also told the Amsterdam News that the settlement reflected the torture Bale endured. Recognition from this settlement that George's torture was unimaginably severe and horrifying vindicates him and his never-ending quest for justice. Put her up. Bale, Bolt, and Johnson were exonerated after DA in Queens, Melinda Katz, created a conviction integrity unit, something that every single DA's office should have. This unit researched past cases after she was elected in 2019. Big ups to her leadership. Bale was also awarded $4.4 million from New York State for the wrongful conviction. Bale and Johnson confessed to the crime after being threatened by law enforcement and recanted later, while Bolt always maintained his innocence. One of the detectives on the case, Louis Pia, reportedly tore one of Bale's braids from his scalp during the interrogation while saying he would put him in the effing hospital. Pia allegedly pressed a hockey stick against the then 19-year-old's neck and threatened to use his head as a hockey puck. After Bale posed the question if the law enforcement officer's tactics were police brutality, Detective Richard Sika allegedly said, quote, no, this is how we get things done, end quote, according to the lawsuit. The officers also allegedly grabbed, choked, and deprived Johnson of sleep to get him to confess. They took advantage of my mental state, Johnson told CBS News. Their tactic was just to keep me up until I was just that mentally fatigued, that I was perplexed, he said, adding that the officers would bang on the table as soon as he drifted off. Now, once again, everybody involved in that should face an indictment, trial, and conviction. Everybody, everyone who oversaw it, everyone who supervised it, everyone who did it, right? Here's the other thing. Do you think it's the only time it happened? Do you think it is the first time they employed such a strategy with precision? They knew exactly how to do it. Psychological manipulation at work, flawlessly executed. Of course not the first time. These are practiced tactics over and over again. So how many people are sitting in prison right now because of those tactics that are illegal, unconstitutional, and corrupt? All right, dear brother, thoughts here.
Just the idea that we're seeing these type of police tactics in the good old red, white, and blue is mind-boggling, Dr. Richey. This is stuff we hear about in Banana Republic, authoritarian regimes, ripping out this man's hair, his braids. This is beyond abuse. This is torture. Yeah. This is illegal. This is criminal. These guys deserve to be put on trial for these crimes. And again, the money is nice, guys, but folks have to understand it's not just the time that you lose not being with loved ones and living a life of freedom. It's the abhorrent conditions of New York State penitentiary facilities, Rikers Island in New York City, where I grew up at. Every single assessment of that facility it's inhumane how they're keeping these folks. So it's beyond, the life that was stolen from them, what they're subjected to while in prison. This ain't no damn country club, y'all. Right. This is horrible conditions. And so I'm glad that these people are getting some restitution for that.
Yeah, and this life is not about money at all. If you tell someone, hey, I'm gonna give you $1 million, but the catch is you have one day to spend it because you will die tomorrow. Virtually nobody would take the million, proving that life is much more than about money, all right?